Lord of Mysteries 2, Circle of Inevitability. Chapter 147, Reaction. Lumion had just returned to the second floor when he spotted Charlie lingering outside his door. "Hey, don't tell me you had another dream? You make me nervous, just popping up at my door like that," Lumion teased with a hint of mockery. He couldn't shake the fact that Charlie had sought him out rather than heading directly to the eternal blazing sun cathedral. Charlie glanced at the stairs and lowered his voice. "Something happened on the fourth floor? You've got good ears," Lumion commended. "There was an incident. I tossed Wilson down the block." "Huh!" Charlie appeared bewildered once more. It took him a moment to process. "Which Wilson? The one from the poison spur mob who collects money from Miss Ethans?" "Yes." Lumion nodded candidly. At first, Charlie's expression read, "I see." Then, he blurted out in shock, "You threw him down the block? From which floor?" "Fourth floor," Lumion replied, grinning. Charlie's mouth fell open, forgetting to close it. "You're not joking, are you?" he asked nervously after a few seconds. Lumion gestured toward the room across the hall. "If you don't believe me, take a look at the alley behind. That guy's like a cockroach. He didn't die from the fall." Charlie assessed Lumion anew, as though seeing him for the first time. He realized that his mischievous, audacious, and clever friend possessed a side he didn't grasp at all. In Lumion's eyes there seemed to be no law, and a chilling coldness ran deep within him. Fear was absent from his mind, and he had genuinely thrown a living person from the fourth floor. Moreover, he was a leader of the poison spur mob. Wasn't he afraid of dying? Wasn't he afraid of the poison spur mob's retaliation? This brought to mind how Seal had held a dirk to his throat when Susanna Mattis threatened him. Charlie had always assumed it was primarily a threat and intimidation tactic, but he now suspected that, had Susanna Mattis not been willing to yield, Seal might have truly stabbed him. Of course, his weapon wouldn't have been some cursed blade. The next second, Charlie glanced around and lowered his voice again. "Are you out of your mind? The poison spur mob isn't to be trifled with. Why don't you move away? You should be safe once you leave the market district." He felt that no matter how reckless Seal was or how little he respected the law, he was someone who had genuinely helped him. He had to warn him of the danger so he could escape swiftly. Lumion smirked and shot back. "Our Savoy mob isn't to be trifled with either." Charlie suddenly sensed that the situation might not be as he'd imagined. Lumion opened the door to room 207 and declared as he entered, "From now on, Aubert's du Coq d'Or is our Savoy mob's turf. I'll throw out anyone from the poison spur mob who shows up." Had the Savoy mob enlisted Seal to handle Wilson? Charlie came to a realization and felt a mixture of relief. Since the Savoy mob had instigated the confrontation, they surely had a plan to counter the poison spur mob's retaliation. A broke, jobless guy like him needn't worry. Lumion snapped the suitcase shut, concealing a few sets of clothes and Aurora's grimoire within. He slid it under the bed and draped a blanket over it. Straightening up, he instructed Charlie, "If anyone comes looking for me, tell them I went to the Salle de Bal Brise." All right." Charlie watched as Lumion vanished down the stairs, a sudden realization hitting him. What would become of Miss Ethans after this? Would she be claimed by the Savoy mob, or was there still a chance for her to redeem herself? Avenue du Marquet, Salle de Bal Brise. Lumion perched at the bar counter, tapping his fingers on the surface. One glass of lover, a serving of mashed potatoes, veal slices in lard, a pork sausage, and a croissant. Lover referred to a sugar alcohol brewed from sugarcane syrup, served with ice and water. It was common slang in Intis bars. Soon enough, Lumion sipped the amber-hued, sweet alcohol and savored the aromatic veal slices. As he relished the delicacies and listened to the music from the dance floor, his body swayed rhythmically. Just then, one of Baron Brignet's gang members sidled up beside him. Lumion turned to the man, noticing the blood clots on his forehead. He smiled and said, "This is our third encounter, right? What should I call you?" The thug replied cautiously, "Just call me Louis." "Another Louis?" Lumian mused. In the Intis Republic, Louis was as common a name as Pierre and Guillaume. The last Louis Lumian had met had given birth to a child, despite being a man. Louis watched Lumian take a bite of the croissant and offered casually, as if trying to build rapport. This one's on me. It's your first time at our salle de bal breeze. All right. Lumian didn't bother with pretenses. Louis ordered a syrupy lemon soda alcohol dubbed Demon and took a sip. You live at Auberge du Coq d'Or, right? Yeah. Lumian grabbed a piece of sausage and popped it into his mouth. Louis pondered for a moment before asking. That's poison spermob territory. Want to move to Rue de Blouses Blanches? No need. Lumian sipped his ice-cold lover, its caramel scent wafting through the air, and grinned. It's now our Savoy mob's turf. What? Louis nearly choked on his drink. Lumian swiveled his head and smirked. I tossed Wilson from the poison sperm mob off the 4th floor. Auberge du Coq d'Or is now Savoy mob turf. Hearing Lumian's account, Louis's face gradually stiffened. After a few seconds, he forced a smile and stood up. I need to report this to the Baron. Why is this guy even more brutal and unhinged than the Baron? All right. Lumian didn't care. Louis took a few brisk steps before turning back, leaning in to whisper. Is Wilson dead? No. Lumian feigned regret. What are you regretting? Louis studied Lumian's face, suddenly wondering, did we gain a weapon or a massive problem? Avenue du Marquet, Unit 126, inside Roger's 3-story building with a modest garden. As the injured Wilson was carried past him, Roger's icy blue eyes scanned the 3 trembling thugs and he demanded, who did this? Someone from the Savoy mob. A thug answered hastily, slightly hunched. He calls himself Seal and says that the Auberge du Coq d'Or now belongs to the Savoy mob. Seal. Black Scorpion Roger's somewhat plump face registered a mix of confusion and wariness. He murmured to himself, there's no Seal among the top brass of the Savoy mob. How did he manage to thrash Wilson like this? It was worth noting that Wilson was a villain, equivalent to a Sequence 9 Beyonder, a master of combat. At that moment, another thug spoke up speculatively. Boss, I remember something. We went to Auberge du Coq d'Or the night Margot was killed. Roger's expression darkened, a fierce hatred seeping in. Was that also Seal's doing? How did he pull it off? Did the Savoy mob secretly recruit such a formidable figure to drive us out of the market district? A man standing beside Black Scorpion Roger spat hatefully. First, an assassination, now an open taunt. If we don't retaliate, who knows what'll come next? The man had a shaved head but boasted striking features. His lake blue eyes, high nose bridge, thick brown eyebrows, and curved lips rendered him handsome despite his baldness. Dressed in a black shirt, dark breeches, and strapless leather boots, he forewent a coat and stood nearly 1.8 meters tall. Roger pondered for a few seconds before instructing the man beside him. Heyman, go to Baron Brignaise and find out what's going on. Ask if the Savoy mob intends to wage an all-out war against our poison sperm mob. If they're open to reconciliation, we can make appropriate concessions. Remember, learn to endure. The time isn't right yet. On the balcony of a 3rd-floor room in Salle de Bal Breeze, Baron Brignaise leisurely puffed on his peach-colored pipe, observing the guests entering and exiting the dance hall. Suddenly, he turned his gaze towards the door. 2 seconds later, Louis pushed open the door, entering the balcony and stepping past the other thugs. Your footsteps are a bit heavy and hurried. Something happen? Baron Brignaise inquired with a smile. Louis replied anxiously. Baron, Seal threw Wilson off the 4th floor of the Auberge du Coq d'Or. Wilson from the poison sperm mob? Baron Brignaise recalled, seeking confirmation. Yes, he's severely injured but not dead. Louis quickly added. Baron Brignaise held his pipe, pondering for a moment before asking. Did Seal mention why he did that? He said that the Auberge du Coq d'Or is now our Savoy mob's turf. Louis repeated Lumian's words. Baron Brignaise couldn't help but chuckle. Taking a drag from his pipe, he spoke with a hint of meaning. If you don't handle a sharp weapon properly, it's easy to hurt yourself. I'll have to find an opportunity to give him some guidance. What should we do about the poison spur mob? Should we inform the boss? Louis asked, concerned. Baron Brignaise considered for a moment and responded, "Not for now. Seal actually performed well this time. I'm curious to see how the poison spur mob reacts." Noticing his subordinate's puzzled expression, Baron Brignaise, always fond of educating them to showcase his intelligence, smiled and explained. Since the poison spur mob's inception, their number of Beyonders has swelled, nearly matching ours in just under 2 years. They've seized a significant amount of territory. Don't you see a major issue here? Give them another 2 years, and we might be completely driven out of the market district. If they want to escalate this matter, I'm more than willing. It's a prime opportunity for the authorities to take notice and uncover who's backing them.